Well, hello there. And this is Auntie. And I am here to do my review of The Family Chantel, Season 4, Episode 5, Unusual and Highly Suspect.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie. Everybody needs
with a whoop whoop and a boop boop
auntie
boop.
that everybody needs.
You can make this up. Now you know that these are some crazy motherfuckers.
Everybody needs a sweet old auntie.
So why even bother?
Aunties and lives, sweet old auntie. Aunties and ways. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Well, welcome back, everybody. And this is Auntie. If this is your first time being here, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And to all of my new subscribers, thank you all so much for hitting that subscribe button and joining this family. To all of my nieces, nephews, and my members who have been here with me for the long haul, thank you all so much for your continued support. If I had to rate this episode of The Family Chantel, Season 4, Episode 5, Unusual and Highly Suspect, I will rate this episode a C. Let me know down in the comment section what you will rate this episode of The Family Chantel. Now, we all have gotten a revelation that all of the drama, trauma, and everything that is going on in Chantel and Pedro's relationship is absolutely true. And so now I'm going to have to review this from a whole different perspective. I thought that a lot of this was false, fake, and whatever. But come to find out that most of this stuff is absolutely true. And so we're going to be reviewing this um auntie style, hardcore a little bit. Okay. Okay. Um so we started off this episode with Chantel meeting up with Winter. Now, as we all know, Winter has had weight loss surgery and she is feeling really, really good about herself. And so her and Chantel are out and they're talking about men in the pick of the litter. And basically Chantel is telling Winter that you need to get you an ugly man. You need to get you a man that's ugly. Let me tell you something. I don't care if a mofo is ugly, a dime piece, or whatever. It is what is going on in the inside of a person. Chantel, has to tell Winter, of course, I know that sounds, a little, hypocritical since Pedro is such a good looking guy. She said that she learned, early on that, she really needed to be with a guy that would treat her a certain way. Well, honey, that ain't happening anymore. But it's very interesting now to look at this from this perspective, right? Because Chantel, okay, but anyway, so as we all know, Winter was trying to date this guy in Africa and everything, and that wasn't working out for her, and so now she's dating another guy. And I think that she just needs to slow down. One of the things that she said is that Winter said that she had her stuff on lock for 7 years. And I was like, so you was in that relationship all that time with y'all and y'all wasn't doing nothing? Girl, stop lying. I was like, I think that she forgot that y'all excuse my dogs. I don't know why lately they want to bark when I go live. Like, what is that about? And it's Twyla. It ain't Maisie. It's Twyla. Okay. And so she said that she had her stuff down on lockdown for 7 years, and I'm thinking to myself, you didn't have your stuff on lockdown for 7 years because we've been watching you in a relationship with Jar. And Jar. And the thing about it was, in a relationship with Jar, she was helping Jar actually raise his kids. So when was your stuff on lockdown, boo? I mean, you see how people lie and forget the truth, okay? But we don't have short memories, honey. We are long memories. So we absolutely remember, okay? The next person I want to talk about is Nicole. Now, as we all know, Nicole was messing with Alejandro and running for, Miss DR, wanting to have, this kind of like relationship with her mother and all of this. And when she was dating Alejandro, she had found out that Alejandro was hollering at girls on social media. And this one particular girl on social media, he that lived in Texas, he told the girl to come to New York, right? But even in spite of all of that, Nicole stayed in a relationship with him, and it caused a rift between her and her relationship with both her mother and her brother. Last season, they were reenacting that Pedro was, had went to the DR to find his father, but family Chantel and 90 Day Fiance Sleuth found pictures dated back to, what was it, 2016, where he had already met up with his brothers. So that got blown out the water. But she, blamed Pedro for the relationship, the demise of the relationship. So Alejandro has come to, excuse me, y'all, to the DR to be with Nicole. He goes and shows up at Nicole's job because allegedly he can't go to the house. Now we know that the mother don't like him, then tried to beat him down with her pocketbook and some more stuff, right? So we absolutely know that there is no love between Alejandro and Nicole's mother. So he shows up at the job and she is surprised and shocked that he is there. She had already told us earlier on in the season that she wasn't dating him anymore, but I don't think any of us really believed that, did we, y'all? So, he says, some little shady stuff to her coworker. Her coworker walks out and everything, and she's like, "Why are you here? I want you to leave." And so he was saying that, I want to be, still in a relationship with you. I want to fight for this relationship. The reason why we broke up was because of your mother and all of that kind of stuff. And so she throws in his face the fact, about the girl in Texas that he was talking to. And he said, "Well, I only talked to her one time. And all I was doing was recommending that she comes to New York." And all of that kind of stuff, just trying to act like he wasn't, hot on the girl. I'm sure that if this really happened, that there was some other text messages and stuff that she found. And she said that she felt like he was disrespecting her, not listening to her about how, she felt about things. Just not feeling heard. And then she says, "Your cologne is stinking." Now, I think this was thrown in there, y'all. What is going on? I think that this was thrown in there. What the hell? For them, I think for humor. But she starts gagging at his cologne, and he was like, "You used to love my cologne." Now, we know last season that the mother hated his cheap cologne, and we know that they, um, was just kind of, making fun of it and all that kind of stuff, his hair dye and his colognes and his cheap bags, his little knockoff bags that he would bring to Nicole and her mama. Child, she got that gagging. And she was like, "Your cologne is making me sick." And she put him out. The next thing we know, he's going to meet up with her little girlfriend. And the girlfriend is saying on one hand that she doesn't want the two of them together, but on the other hand, she's going to help him hook up with Nicole. So she meets with Nicole to tell Nicole that Alejandro came and hooked up with her. And I was like, this is the same chick that allegedly was cheating with Pedro, all up in their business, and this girl ain't got no life. Like, honey, if you're gonna be a sidekick, be a strong sidekick. I think if I ever was on a show and I had to be a sidekick, I would be a strong sidekick. I would not be somebody that is always a third wheel. She always a third wheel. Even when they went to the DR, she was the third wheel to go and see her in the pageant. You know, it was the mom and then it was her. And then when it was, Chantel and Pedro, she was, and all the other people, she was the third wheel. And now here it is that Nicole's going through this stuff back and forth with Alejandro, and she's still the third wheel. Girl, at least be the fourth one. You keep the buggy going. Bitch, for the third wheel, you still sitting on flat. You still sitting on flat, unless you're on a tricycle. Bitch. I don't know where this storyline is going to go, but we're going to see. Now to the cotton freaking main event. So Chantel, last episode, had a housewarming party, and her and Pedro was going back and forth. Pedro feels like Chantel is lazy. He feels like he has held this family down and allowed Chantel to live the life that she wanted to live in exchange for a green card. In my opinion. They show Pedro at the real estate office. And he is talking to his coworker. They show clips of him hanging out with his coworkers and just having a great time. And he said that these people are like family. Pedro is now suited and booted. He is rubbing shoulders with the how can I say this? The elite of Atlanta. And he is risen above Chantel. They just bought a house, got the American dream getting started. And Pedro is on his high horse. He is living the life he's always wanted to live. But he got a ball and chain on him, and that ball and chain is called Chantel. Chantel went to school to get her nursing degree. She flunked out, and then she finally got it together. She's now graduated. She said that she's a nurse working in a hospital, and she works 12-hour, 3 days, 12-hour shifts each. So when she gets home, she is tired. What we see is Pedro, playing his games and stuff like that, but it's been like that from day A with this particular couple. It's never been any different because we always see Pedro playing games. Now, Chantel is at home. This is her day off. She feels like, as a wife, she is catered to Pedro. She's cooked his meals. She's taken care of him. She made sure she filed all the right papers for him to be able to get his green card. So they both feel like that they owe one another, or they one up on each other. And so as a result of that, they're now starting to have problems in their relationship because now they're reflecting on what has happened. So Chantel last week was saying that Pedro wasn't being grateful because she brought him here. Oh, he's grateful. Just not the way that you think he should be grateful, right? So now Pedro feels like Chantel is lazy. He feels like he's pulling the weight around the house. He's starting to get friends and all of that. So he has no need for Chantel and her family in the drama anymore. Also, Pedro has changed into, according to Chantel, he's changed into a different man since he went to the DRs and hooked up with his brothers and wasn't able to find his father. So there's allegedly some rejection that Pedro is dealing with. So we see Pedro, like I said, at the office. One of the his colleagues come in, pretty young thing, but not Pedro speed. And she says that she got dropped off, her car's leaking antifreeze and all that kind of stuff. So Pedro volunteers to take her back home. She alleges that she got dropped off at the office by a client, but seemed like she wasn't in there no more than 5 minutes. Why she ain't just had a client drop her off at home or around the corner from her house? So Pedro drops her off. He comes home with Chantel. Chantel is chilling on the bed, and the argument ensues. Chantel goes and starts fussing with Pedro about the changes that he's done. Pedro comes into the room while Chantel is sitting there, and he says, "You got all this stuff. Why you ain't vacuuming the floors? Cat hair everywhere. Why you ain't get the cat hair up and all of that?" And she was like, "Look, I just finished working 3 12-hour shifts, and I'm tired. Why you didn't get this So, Pedro's like, alluding to the fact that she's nasty and stuff like that. So she was like, "You know what, Pedro, go ahead and leave your drawers, your clothes, your shoes all around the house. Go ahead and leave all that stuff around the house. I'm doing my womanly duties when I can do my womanly duties." And so, the both of them, of course, being immature, don't know how to walk away from an argument. Chantel walks out of the room, to try to, you know, she's trying to disengage, but Pedro ain't having it. She goes downstairs, she lays on the sofa, he come with the lazy stuff, and you ain't doing this and you ain't doing that. So she starts talking about the changes that Pedro has made. She indicated that Pedro was hanging out. She said one night he got dropped off at the house at 3 o'clock in the morning and did not have his car. And all of a sudden the car showed up. So to me, he was drinking responsibly, or the people that were with him were being responsible. She said that Pedro came home with some girl's name on his keys, taped on his keys. Pedro said the reason why the name was taped on the keys was because he had lost some keys before. And so, and he has his name on his stapler and all of this kind of stuff. And so it's been a running joke. So when he left his keys, some girl put, her name on it, just as, a little gag and giggle. But bitch, he married. So the gag and the giggle, that stuff stay in the office place. When he got to go home, it ain't cute to have lipstick on him. So Chantel was talking about smells and all kinds of stuff. And she told Pedro, she said, Pedro, tell me that you don't tell me that you love me. So tell me how you feel about me, because you certainly don't love me. And Pedro was kind of a little tongue-tied about the thing. She was like, "Tell me, Pedro, tell me that you don't love me. Tell me what's going on. You don't say you love me anymore, so you might as well tell me something." So, of course, her and Pedro are arguing back and forth. He's saying, some things and not saying some things. He calling her lazy. She said, "You don't even leave the light on." I'm going to tell you, when I go out and I'm out at a certain time, I want the light to be left on for me. Just flick the light. It just don't take anything. You just want to make sure that I'm safe and I'm home. Flick the fucking light, the porch light on. Plus, when you come home lady, you can't half-ass see anywhere, and you got to be jangling with your keys. If somebody if stranger danger run up on your ass, you need to be able to get up in them locks quickly, right? And it don't help if you ain't got no light on. But Pedro said you could turn the light on for yourself. Chantel ended up getting mad and leaving and going over to River's house. And River or Puddle knows that there's something going on. And so he tries to talk to her as a brother because he has now developed a relationship with Pedro. And she's unwilling to tell him what is going on because I think that she is hoping that this is going to turn around. Well, obviously, Pedro has now filed for divorce. So obviously, this is not turning around. It's not turning around for them. She sleeps on Puddle's sofa after he gives her some wine and they sit there and talk. But Puddle knows that something is wrong. And of course, he goes to Karen, his mama now. And he tells his mother that she stayed on the sofa. He knows that something's wrong. He wants to go over and have a conversation with Pedro because he has developed a relationship with Pedro and he wants to know. But he was like, family first. And I was like, good, Puddle, family is first. And it's luckily, they're lucky that that Puddle has a house now, right? Because Puddle, she got a little spot where she can hang out at. Right, right, exactly, Randy. I agree with you. This is one of my members, Randy, and she says, "I'm surprised that Chantel didn't confide in her family. She usually does." And you know what? I think that she was not wanting to say anything. Hey, Simone, shout out my members out here that I can see. Let me see. Shout y'all out. Put them names up on the screen. Put them names up on the screen. I think that she was optimistic in not wanting her mother and them to get into it. I think that, it's not fun and games and all of that kind of stuff, right? Hey there. I love calling him Bottle. Um, yeah, I truly think that excuse me, y'all, for the distraction. Just had to shout some of my members out. I think that she was disappointed because didn't want to say anything because she know how her mother gets. Because even with Puddle saying that he was gonna go over there and have a conversation with them, um, he was like, Mom, you gotta go a certain way. Cause Karen gets overexcited and she makes things sometimes out to be a joke, and everything ain't a fucking joke. And what Chantel appears to be going through right now is not a joke at all. It's not jokey joke time for the mama. Well, mama is always coming with the drama and all that kind of stuff. And I think that a lot of people like mama for that very reason. And for me, I can't stand mama for that very reason because sometimes you really got to slow the hell down, stop playing so much and trying to come up with these little one-liners that just fall flat for me. I don't think she's funny at all. So it really seems like, I did a video, I will link it to this, about what why Pedro is divorcing her. I talked briefly about, some other things that are going on in their particular relationship. I must admit that I was wrong. I thought that this was just a whole setup of a whole bunch of bull, but it seems like it's true since Pedro has actually filed for divorce from Chantel. I truly do believe that Pedro did what he felt like he had to do in order to come to these here United States. And I think that from the very beginning, what Chantel and her family, her mother was believing about him, and about what his mother was alleged to be doing, harvesting the American dollar and setting it up for Pedro to meet and marry an American woman. I think all of that stuff is coming back. What do y'all think? I think all that stuff is coming back. We have been watching 90 Day Fiance and the family Chantel for years. And the mother and the father, they all were really suspicious of her about the mother's business that she had. As we can see, the mother has made some you agree, Deirdre? Well, I mean, it's a matter of taste, Adrian Love. It's a matter of taste, boo. She's just not, the flavor. Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, some people like butter pecan, and some people don't. And I'm just one of those type of people that don't like them. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you're not the only one who likes Karen. There are a lot of people who like Karen. So don't feel bad about what I'm saying, okay? From the beginning. From the beginning. So anyway, that is the end of my recap on this particular show. We'll see. Next week I'm gonna be coming probably with guns blazing, because now that I realize that this stuff is true, I'll be reviewing it from a different perspective. Because I guess now we're seeing where all of this like really came from. Thank you to everybody who's here. I appreciate you all coming. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And if you've been here more than 2 times, go ahead on and hit that subscribe button, because you family now. I love y'all to pieces, and y'all have